Hello everyone, welcome back to Unveiling Mythical Legends. What you're seeing right now is not a special effect from a movie, nor an illustration from a horror novel, but a real-life ghost ship, the SS Beechmore. After being abandoned in 1931, it astonishingly drifted unmanned in the Arctic ice for a whole 38 years. It neither sank nor broke apart, almost as if protected by some mysterious force, sailing through the polar regions as usual. This not only left scientists baffled, but also sent chills down the spines of countless explorers. Today, let's uncover the mystery of this legendary vessel. Why was it able to survive in such extreme conditions? Is it really just a ship? Or has it already surpassed our understanding of what a ship really is? Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell. And if you're also curious about this impossible ghost ship, remember to give the video a like, share with your friends, and let me know in the comments. Do you believe it's still drifting in the ice today? The real-life ghost ship, SS Beechmore, after being completely abandoned in 1931, drifted unmanned in the Arctic ice for a full 38 years, seemingly marching on through the ice and snow as if enchanted by magic. This is not an urban legend, nor a chilling tale fabricated by a novelist, but a historical anomaly recorded in official documents that still baffles oceanographers and polar explorers to this day. The Arctic ice sheet freezes, cracks, compresses, and violently collides every year, making it incredibly difficult for even modern steel ships to survive, let alone a cargo ship built in 1914, older than your grandfather. SS Beechmore was originally Swedish, named Angerman Elfin, and after World War I, it was transferred to the UK as war reparations. Finally, in 1921, it was bought by the Hudson's Bay Company of Canada, renamed SS Beechmore, and assigned to trade pelts and supplies with Inuit tribes in the Arctic Circle. At 70 meters in length and a displacement of 1,322 tons, it was a steel behemoth that cruised through the frigid seas, steady as an iceberg, until fate took a sudden turn on October 1st, 1931. A sudden snowstorm trapped SS Beechmore in the floating ice near Alaska, and the captain reluctantly ordered the entire crew to abandon ship, expecting they would return in a few days to continue the voyage. However, when they came back, the entire SS Beechmore had disappeared, leaving only an empty ice sheet and a slew of unsolved mysteries, marking the beginning of the ghost ship's decades-long mysterious drift. On that fateful day, SS Beechmore was loaded with precious furs, preparing to return home. The crew was in high spirits, completely unaware that a sudden snowstorm was silently approaching. As they neared Point Barrow in Alaska, the floating ice rapidly accumulated, surrounding and engulfing the ship like a giant white beast. Visibility dropped to zero within minutes, and the ice layer thickened at an astonishing speed, trapping SS Beechmore like a frozen iron coffin. Seeing the dire situation, the captain immediately ordered the crew to evacuate, making their way across the ice to establish a temporary shelter. Everyone thought it was just a temporary retreat, and that they would return to the ship in a few days once the storm passed to continue their journey. Little did they know, when the rescue team finally returned after much hardship, they were shocked to find that the entire SS Beechmore had mysteriously vanished, completely disappeared, not leaving a single screw behind. There were no signs of the ship breaking apart, no evidence of explosions or sinking. It was as if the 1,300-ton steel giant had never existed, simply swallowed by the Arctic ice. The captain's initial theory was that the ship might have been crushed by the ice and sank to the bottom of the sea. But this theory was soon disproved by an Inuit hunter sighting. The hunter, 72 kilometers away on the icy sea, was astonished to see a familiar-looking cargo ship slowly moving. It was none other than SS Beechmore. He described the ship as if it weren't sailing but being propelled by some invisible force, silently traversing the ice sheet. That image still sends a chill down one's spine when recalled. This marked the beginning of SS Beechmore's journey as a ghost ship and thus the legend began. Over the next nearly 40 years, this steel behemoth, which should have sunk to the cold ocean floor, appeared time and time again in the polar regions as if cursed. Whether it was the shadow on the ice in 1932, the distant misty silhouette in 1935, or the surprise reports from hunters in the 1950s, each appearance seemed like the opening scene of a mystery film, drawing exclamations from locals and sailors alike. It's back. One of the most striking sightings occurred in 1939, when a seasoned captain named Hudson unexpectedly encountered SS Beechmore near Point Barrow. Not only that, but he even boarded the ghost ship, which had been adrift for 8 years. He described the ship as a museum frozen in time. Although the exterior was covered in rust, the deck was cracked, and the hull was peeling. Once he stepped into the cabin, the air still smelled of furs, and there were unshipped goods on the shelves. The tools in the cabinets were neatly arranged, as if the crew had just left to have a cup of tea. He quickly made the decision to tow the ship back to the civilized world. But just as he was preparing to act, the ice sheet suddenly shifted violently. The floating ice squeezed the ship's hull with terrifying force, as if a giant beast were opening its mouth. Hudson watched helplessly as the historical relic was swallowed by the snow once again, and he had no choice but to retreat. No one was ever able to control the fate of SS Beechmore after that. You may be wondering, how could an old cargo ship possibly drift in the Arctic, an environment where everything freezes, compresses, and tears apart every year for 40 years? Indeed, this is one of the reasons SS Beechmore is known as the impossible ghost ship. According to polar research, the temperature in the Arctic waters is 10 to 15 degrees colder than in other oceans. This extreme cold makes metals brittle, and the steel hull of a ship could disintegrate in less than 20 years due to embrittlement. What's more, with no maintenance and no protection, this 1914-built old freighter should have already shattered and sunk by now. However, the SS Beechmore seemed like an immortal entity, reappearing time and time again amidst the snowstorms. This extraordinary durability far surpassed the limits of human knowledge about material science at the time, and it thus became a miracle in the eyes of conspiracy theorists and mystics. Some speculated that the SS Beechmore might have been influenced by the Arctic magnetic anomalies, protected by some unknown energy. Others believed that it no longer belonged to this world, but was being controlled by a supernatural force that dictated its path and fate. Local Inuit elders even passed down an ancient legend that had been told for centuries. The floating steel behemoth was actually possessed by an ancient spirit of the sea. It was no longer a ship, but a will, a warning to humanity. Some places should never be approached. In 1962, the Inuit once again spotted the SS Beechmore at the edge of the ice floes in Beaufort Sea. The legendary ghost ship was still drifting in the polar cold winds. They didn't approach it, but simply stared at the lone steel giant, as though witnessing a ghost that didn't belong to this world. It wasn't a wreck, nor was it a sunken ship. It was a perfectly intact ancient relic drifting in the ice sea. Some polar research reports even stated that under certain aurora conditions, the metal shell of SS Beechmore would emit an eerie blue-green glow, as if the aurora borealis itself had formed an inexplicable resonance with the ship. This phenomenon had never been observed on any other ship, making it seem as though the vessel had been altered by some unknown energy in nature. The creepiest incident occurred in 1969, the last officially recorded sighting. This time, the SS Beechmore appeared once more between Point Barrow and Point Ice in Alaska's ice sea, exactly 38 years after it was abandoned in 1931. The old freighter, which should have long since sunk, rusted, or disintegrated, was still floating above the cold Arctic seas. Witnesses described the ship as no longer resembling a man-made object, but rather more like the last soul of the ice fields. Half of its hull was swallowed by thick ice, with its damaged smokestack protruding lonely from the ice. The deck had long since tilted and deformed, yet it stubbornly refused to sink, as though it were being held up by some powerful will. The most bizarre part of this sighting was that the surrounding sea was unusually calm. No wind, no waves, and not even a sound. Everything was deathly silent. Even the sound of the ice moving couldn't be heard. It was as if there was an invisible barrier surrounding the ghost ship, protecting and sealing it off from the rest of the world, keeping it at a strange and mysterious distance. It was an eerie, silent strangeness that didn't just exist in what was visible, but also in the very air. A supernatural atmosphere that made all living things nearby hold their breath instinctively. It was as if even nature itself dared not disturb the silence of this ghost ship. How did this ghost ship manage to do it? Let's break down a few of the most discussed theories. The first theory focuses on the combination of Arctic ocean currents and ice movement. The Arctic currents are complex, like a maze, and coupled with polar winds and temperature differences, it is possible for a ship trapped in ice to shift position with the seasonal drift of the ice. However, here's the problem. Why this particular ship? Why was it always perfectly seen at certain times, only to mysteriously disappear afterward? It was as if it chose the right time to make an appearance. This is something that random ocean currents cannot easily explain. The second theory focuses on the unique structure of the SS Beechmore itself. Swedish shipbuilding techniques in 1914 were indeed among the world's best, with solid materials, a well-designed center of gravity, and extremely strong riveting. These qualities could have allowed it to be more resistant to cold and ice than other ships. However, the idea that it could survive 38 years of Arctic torment with no human maintenance is still highly questionable. The third theory is more mysterious and involves unresolved natural phenomena, such as magnetic anomalies, polar gravity fluctuations, and under-ice currents. While none of these have been proven, each one is enough to give scientists a headache. The fourth theory suggests that this is all just a misunderstanding, and people might have mistaken another old ship for the SS Beechmore. However, this freighter weighs 1,322 tons, has a very distinct appearance, and there were professional captains like Hudson who boarded the ship and confirmed its identity. The chance of mistaking the ship seems extremely low. Finally, the most chilling theory is supernatural intervention. Some believe the Arctic is a domain of some ancient, mysterious power, and the SS Beechmore was chosen as its vessel. Perhaps it is the result of an unresolved curse or an interdimensional anomaly that science has yet to observe. It is no longer just an ordinary ship, but an entity floating between reality and legend, like the Arctic's guardian, quietly standing watch over the frozen boundary, witnessing humanity's ignorance and arrogance. Today, the SS Beechmore has completely disappeared from official records. Its last known sighting was in the Alaskan ice seas in 1969, after which it vanished without a trace. No one knows whether it eventually sank beneath the ice or quietly hid in some undiscovered part of the polar ice realm, waiting for its next appearance. Perhaps it has become a part of the polar landscape, or maybe it continues to drift in that icy expanse, undetected by human eyes. No one can approach that mysterious body of water anymore. Regardless of the truth, one thing is certain. The legend of the SS Beechmore is far from over. It is like an endless mystery, continuously drawing historians, polar explorers, and researchers of mysterious phenomena to chase after it. The SS Beechmore not only challenged our understanding of natural laws, but also served as a reminder to humanity. What we think we know is only a small corner of the vast unknown. It's like the small piece of an iceberg that floats above the surface, while the SS Beechmore is the immense part hidden beneath the water. Its existence forces us to reconsider the meaning of disappearance. Is it the moment when something becomes invisible to the eye, or is it the moment when humans can no longer understand or reach it? Perhaps one day, when the polar ice melts, technology advances, and the world changes, the SS Beechmore will reappear before our eyes. its rusted figure reminding us that some stories never truly end. Do you believe it's still quietly waiting somewhere? The story of the SS Beechmore teaches us that there are still many things in this world that we cannot explain. It's not the biggest ship, nor the most advanced, but it is undoubtedly the most chilling and captivating ship of all. Its presence seems like the Arctic is warning us. Don't place too much faith in human omniscience. Some things are better left undiscovered and undisturbed. If you're as fascinated by the mysterious legend of this ghost ship as I am, don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, and join me every week as we explore more of history's most unbelievable tales. Let me know in the comments, what do you think happened to the SS Beechmore in the end? Did it sink, or is it still out there, waiting for its next witness? See you next time, and remember, don't get too close to the sounds from the depths of the ice fields, because there perhaps it is still quietly watching.